October the 22nd was designated International Stuttering Awareness Day in 1998. Stuttering is a communication disorder in which repetitions or abnormal stoppages of sounds and syllables break the flow of speech. International Stuttering Awareness Day shines a helpful spotlight on stutterers and educates the public about the causes. The day is intended to raise public awareness over the millions of people, 1% of the world's population, who have the speech disorder of stuttering. We talk about the importance of today with Itumeleng Modibedi. He's the founder of the I Stutter Through Education campaign, and I also have Dr. Anniah Mupawose. She is a senior lecturer and also a speech-language pathologist from Wits University. Good afternoon to both of you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for coming through. Now, Itumeleng, I'm going to start with you. Talk to us about the idea behind your campaign.
Thank you very much, Palisa, for having me, and hi to everyone at home. The I Stutter Through Education campaign, it's a very personal journey. I stutter myself. I'm saying it's a personal journey because I know how it feels, how it feels to not really reach your potential in life, being laughed at. And I was telling Memi earlier on that at some point I had a bad feeling about life, because I would always ask myself,
but listen to you,
me?
You've spoken for almost a minute now, you haven't started. So have you been able to sort of work on it? And
I researched a lot. I dropped out in 2007. I was a law student in Pretoria. I dropped out then, and then after that I did not have a direction in life. Only from 2013 till 2016 I started saying to myself, why don't you do something about this? I started researching. I would go out there, I would read, I would take advantage, attention if you're talking to me and I'm looking at you, and I would say, we are on the same WhatsApp group, and then say, I want to make a change.
I'm going to talk to you about what it does to your ego as a person and perhaps your confidence, but I just want to bring Doc here in the conversation. I gave a bit of background on my introduction as to what stuttering is, but take us through, just make us understand what this disorder is all about.
Well, actually your definition wasn't off base. It basically is a disruption to the forward flow of speech, and there are usually three components. We talk about core behaviors, we talk about secondary behaviors, and we also talk about feelings and attitudes. And usually the disruptions can be anywhere along the speech mechanism. It can be body movements, or it can also, with it come feelings and attitudes associated to how the communicative world has reacted to the person who has a stutter. So, and the difference between what we call fluent speech and disfluent speech, which would be the speech of a person who stutters, is that it draws attention to you, the listener. We all have disfluences. How many times in conversation do we go, we repeat phrases like, those kind of things, but it doesn't draw attention to the speaker. So there are what we call normal DIS fluences and disfluences, which are those speech characteristics that draw attention to you, the speaker.
But what causes stuttering?
Well, we know that there's certain predictors. For example, if it's a family, especially immediate family member, we find that the predictors are more males, because ratio-wise you find that there are more males than females who stutter. If it occurs during, say, under the age of 6, the ratios are pretty close. But then as the children grow, then the ratio into adulthood becomes 4 males to 1. So being male also kind of predisposes you to.
Yeah.
Also the age, the onset, when you started stuttering. Now, 15% of kids will stutter, but we have what we call spontaneous recovery. Okay. So usually we look at if you start stuttering around like 3.5, and you stuttering, usually it tends to spontaneously recover between 18 and 3 years after.
All right,
you
so
start.
there is no cure.
At
But
this
there's
point,
a
there's
recovery
no cure.
possibility. Because I remember my little sister used to stutter, but she started as a child. But it just sort of disappeared. And we've been wondering, where did it go? What happened? Because nothing was done to her, but she sort of, it disappeared along the way.
Yeah, that's... firstly, she was female, so that didn't really predispose her as much. I'm not saying that there are no female persons who stutter. They are out there, but she just spontaneously recovered. Like my boy, who started stuttering at 3, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm a speech therapist. My son is. These are the kids I work with, and by about 5, he has spontaneously recovered because there wasn't that familial history. And age of onset, all those kind of things. But to be honest with you, there is no one that can say there's a single cause for stuttering. It is multidimensional. Yeah. Research has come up with different causes, but it's actually multifactorial. There can be different things at play too. Yeah.
So coming back to you, Tumi, as you say, you at some point even had to drop out of varsity because of this. Let's just talk about what it did to your confidence as a guy, as an individual, as a prospective boyfriend. What did it do to you?
It kills you. It kills you. You end up saying to yourself, I'm not a man enough, you know. I remember saying to myself, like I dropped out in Pretoria. I ran away to Bloemfontein, and my parents didn't know that, you know. I just said to them, there's a better school opportunities in Bloemfontein. I was lying, because you must remember, Palesa, the very same people who would laugh at you in class, I would see them, you know, in the street. At the back of my mind, every time I see them, I would think they are laughing at me even now.
Know
you understand? Yeah. And studying law, there comes a point where you must stand in front of the class, you know, and have a case study. And I would think to myself, and I would ask myself, if I am struggling at school level, you know, what about at court? You understand? They're going to kill me even more. And then I felt that I do not belong here. You know, I need a new life.
Let's talk about the program that you have, because I've seen a lot of pictures and videos now that you visit schools. Yeah. What do you do when you visit, and who are you targeting, and what has the response been over the years?
First, I must say, I started shooting my TV show in 2016. The whole plan was, let me first be on TV. Oh, yes. You know, let me first be on TV and go out there, help people. But I am so glad that it never happened, because we live in a world where we truly think the only people who could help people, they are those who are on TV, you know, who are making it. I'm glad that it did not happen that way. And I said to myself...
So it actually made you go back to the ground.
Yes, yes. And I'd love to also appreciate and say thank you to Free State Department of Education in the leadership of MEC Mahwe for giving me this opportunity, you understand. I've started going to schools early last year, and by now I'm telling you, Palisa, I have met more than 1,500 kids, and I have done nothing. I've done nothing because we are 1% of the population. 1%, we are talking plus minus 580,000 of people who are stuttering in South Africa. I am only on 1.5, and I've done house calls also, you understand. I have a whole lot of job, you know, I have a whole lot of job, but I I'm excited. I don't want to lie.
The lives that you've touched, you've actually impacted on them.
Yeah.
Just in conclusion, quickly, Doc, I'm listening to Tumi and looking at him as he's talking, and I can tell that he's sort of trying to contain it, he's trying to manage it. And it reminds me that I had a colleague in radio who would stutter off air, but as soon as he starts reading the news, you don't hear it. He just flows. So it gives me an idea that, or a belief that it can actually be controlled. You learn to control it. And I think that's where you come in as a speech pathologist to help kids and help individuals to sort of be able to control it.
Yes, like I said, there's anyone who says there's a cure for stuttering, they're selling you whatever. It's not true.
Yeah.
But I truly believe that my philosophy when I'm working with individuals who stutter is that I can give you strategies that you can, when you're relaxed at home and you feel, because it does also take a bit of effort because you're working with, like I said, the muscles that produce speech and all of that. It can be effortful trying to be fluent, but it's just knowing when you're going to turn on the strategies and when you want to turn off. And so, and sometimes some people find, I've noticed the individuals who come who've already actually started using some of the strategies we would actually employ in therapy to address the stuttering. But it's just, like I said, knowing what strategies to use that work best for you, because stuttering is something that's individual to the person. What might work for one person might not work for another. So it's just working with the strategies that the individual, the stutter, feels very comfortable
All right,
with.
no, we run out of time. We'll leave the discussion at this for today. But of course, we should continue to talk about these issues, not just today. Tumi, surely we'll have you back again in studio sometime. Thank you so much to both of you for coming through. Many thanks there to my guests as we're taking a quick break here on Your Story.